Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, Pokemaniacs. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more of the Pokemon Adventures manga. Where previously, the Pokemon world has 10 days left to live. What does this mean? Well, 3 years. 3 years? Okay. 3 years after the end of the Emerald arc, Steven Stone is training up Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald in the ways of Mega Evolution, fearing another catastrophe. But Ruby has headed off, using Emerald's Eon Flute to summon Latios and Latias, heading off with the former, and having even already equipped a Mega Stone. All the while, Steven is researching a strange mural in the Granite Cave, relaying this information to his father, Mr. Briny and Drake, who seem to be on the inside knowledge about what is about to transpire. But Ruby's personal mission has taken him to the Sky Pillar, where he encounters a young girl named Zinnia, who he believes can help him stop the impending doom about to befall the world. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, picking back up in volume 1/62, we are at adventure number 4. Salamence Evolve. Never want to see that happen. And sure enough, in the background, you have Salamence fighting against Latios as Ruby continues to pin down Zinnia. Zinnia questioning, "You came here to ask me about the crisis? Now that's a surprise. How much do you know about it so far?" Though Ruby shouts, "I'm the one asking the questions here, Zinnia." But Zinnia just laughs. "You talk a tough game for someone who's trespassing in someone else's home. I wasn't expecting an intruder at this stage. Oh well." And without even so much as a command, Salamence pauses in the middle of its fight against Latios and then fires an attack right at the back of Ruby, despite the fact that he's still pinning Zinnia. Okay, I guess it's hard to tell in that panel, but I'm guessing that Latios swooped in, scooped up Ruby, getting him out of harm's way. But this is probably Zinnia's plan as a method of getting out of Ruby's grasp. Zinnia, now on her feet, says, "That's it. I have to battle you." And so she activates the keystone on her anklet, and with a loud grunt, Mega evolves her Salamence into Mega Salamence. Ruby questions, the keystone is set in the anklet on your right leg, isn't it?" Zinnia says, "Right. It's the Mega Anklet." God, these names. It's like, yeah, no kidding. Zinnia, weirdly, licks her lips, saying, "Give me a good taste of everything you have to offer." Just, no, I need you to stop. "Children, behave." Ruby points, commanding Latios to rush in against Salamence, but Salamence is just too tough. Its lack of arms has made it tougher. It just uses its wing to just smack away Latios. Latios tells Ruby, "So tough. Its defense has increased dramatically." Ruby calls out, "Latios, we should do that too." And so Ruby activates the keystone on his bracelet, shouting out, "The light of my keystone and the light of the Latiosite will merge." He activates the keystone, commanding Latios to Mega Evolve into Mega Latios. Latios turns to Ruby saying, "Did you have to say it? Did you have to say all that?" Thank you. I keep questioning that. It's like, that doesn't feel like it's a requirement a lot of the times. Ruby questions, "It's cooler that way, isn't it?" Although Zinnia just smiles, saying, "Nice, real nice." And she commands Mega Salamence to use Hyper Voice. Ooh, and the attack hits Latios hard. Zinnia just smiles, saying, "Impressive, you withstood the attack." With Ruby saying, "By Mega evolving your Salamence, its ability changed from Intimidate to Aureliate." Aureliate? Which causes normal type moves to become flying type moves. You use that ability to boost the power of Hyper Voice with a same type attack bonus. That's why you were so surprised. But did you really think we'd get direct hit by a direct attack? It looks like, okay, at first I was going to say that Latios looks like he's struggling a little bit, but nah. Latios is running circles around Salamence. Ruby says, "What's wrong, Salamence? Did you think I'd keep attacking from the right?" Keep attacking from the right? Huh. Well, he attacks from the left, commanding Latios to use Luster Purge, slamming Salamence into the wall, causing it to fall to the ground covered by debris. Ruby looms over Salamence, saying, "And this time, I'm not just going to drive you away." Is this the same Salamence that gave Ruby the scar? Or is this Ruby just projecting? It's getting kind of hard to tell. At first I'm just like, okay, he has an issue with Salamence. But it's starting to feel like this is that same Salamence. Which, honestly, if it is, that would explain a lot of things. But Zinnia just laughs. I see. So that's what this is all about. Nice. Oh my god, it is the same Salamence. You're kidding. No friggin' way. Okay, wait. Wait a minute. No way! Okay, did Zinnia have a Salamence in the game? She does have a Salamence in the game. You're kidding me! Oh, they definitely did not know about this beforehand, but that is amazing! Yo, I love it when things fall into place like that. Holy crap, it was the same Salamence! The same Salamence that gave Ruby a scar! Oh my god, that is wild. No way. Zinnia explains, 9 years ago, we attempted to save our dragon-type Pokemon deity from the Pokemon Association. You're the boy who fought against this Salamence back then, aren't you? Oh my god, I never would. I'm just like, okay, it's just, he's got a vendetta against Salamence. But it's just like, no, he knows the one who gave him the scar. Oh my god. Zinnia nods, saying, I get it now. She then looks to the stairs with the Pokeblock, saying, you didn't just randomly drop these Pokeblocks, did you? You knew that my little Aster has a relaxed nature. So you chose sour Pokeblocks on purpose. Ruby, holding a Pokeblock case, says, that's right. Zinnia takes a moment and then says, okay then, out of respect for your skills, I'll tell you about the crisis and what I intend to do about it. I'm confident that you won't make any stupid mistake. I'm confident now that you won't make any stupid mistake. Also, I didn't realize her top was tied in the back. You know, I always see her outfit from one angle. Yeah, even in the artwork, it is tied in the back. I never noticed that. Then again, I'm realizing there's no concept art for her on the wiki. But you could probably see it in the 3D model and stuff. See, her outfit looks so modern, but the closer I look at it, it's a lot more rustic than I thought it was. The thing that always just catches my attention is the fact that she has the two moons just right there. Like, guys, that's not even these mangaka being weird with it. It's just like, no, that's actually Game Freak. Like, guys, I don't understand what you were thinking with that. We then cut over at the same time in Slateport City. Oh god, I've already forgotten this girl's name. Licia is, I guess, talking to her manager, saying, that Ruby is so smart. He's truly a Pokemon contest prodigy. He's amazingly good at making Pokeblocks too. He can intuitively tell that what every Pokemon's favorite flavor is. Dazzling. I think I'll call it the flavorful and miraculous Pokeblock Maker of Victory. Okay, I was wondering if we knew who this other guy was. He is in the game though. Chaz. Oh god. Is it making me think of the Chaz from Yu-Gi-Oh! XD. GX. There you go. Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Generation Next. All you talk about is Ruby. I don't know if I could get the voice down. It's been a long time since I've watched Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. Licia says, are you listening to me, Chaz? I want to call him the Chaz. The Chaz says, will you cut it out, Licia? Licia leans in saying, huh? What? Are you jealous, Chaz? Chaz grows angry, saying, I am not jealous. But Alicia pulls Chaz in, saying, and he's not just good at making Pokeblocks. Look, as we see the horde of cosplay Pikachu. This how we fit them all in. She tells Chaz, our new project. 5 different outfits for these fashion-forward Pikachu. That was Ruby's idea. World-famous promoter Mr. Byrne Watts talked to Ruby about the project 6 months ago, and it's finally completed. Pikachu Rockstar, Pikachu Bell, Pikachu Popstar, Pikachu PhD. I don't know why that got me. Pikachu PhD. I know it's an actual thing. I've seen it before, but it just that kind of got me for some reason. I don't even know why. I think it's just saying it out loud. And Pikachu Libre. Pikachu PhD. One of them was bound to get me. They're adorable. The Chaz walks off with one of his Machoke, saying, they sure are. Ruby's the man. Let's go, Mushery. But Alicia stops him, saying, I'm not done yet. Chaz fights her, though, saying, I've had enough. Alicia says, no, I'm still worried. After the show yesterday, I overheard a conversation between Ruby, a reporter, and a cameraman from Hoenn TV. We flash back to Ruby meeting outside the station with Gabby and Ty. Gabby saying, there he is. Ruby says, hello, Gabby. Hello, Ty. Gabby says, we saw the show, Ruby. You sure have a lot of charisma when it comes to Pokemon contests. You're going to keep at it, right? But as Ruby walks away, he says, you think so? Gabby asks, huh? What do you mean? And Ruby, dramatically taking off his glasses, says, it's true that I love Pokemon contests. I love showcasing the beauty, cuteness, cleverness, coolness, and toughness of Pokemon. And I do want to keep competing forever. But what if something were about to happen that would keep me from continuing? That's why I came here today, because I thought this would be my last Pokemon contest. I really mean that. Alicia in that moment thought to herself, what could possibly be so important that it would prevent him from taking part in more contests in the future? Last Pokemon contest? Ruby then ran off, telling them goodbye. Gabby tried to chase after, saying, Ruby, wait! Alicia thought to herself, I'm going after him too. Oh, but we see that Ruby made his way to the port and jumped onto Sapphire's Wailord. Well, I say Sapphire's Wailord, but she did kind of keep the Wailord, I guess, though it was technically her dad's. As Ruby hopped onto Sapphire's Wailord, he said, Lori, to the southern island. And that's how he got there and used the Eon Flute and all that, kind of leaving Gabby, Ty, and hidden Alicia in the proverbial aqueduct back in present day. The Chaz say, I see. It's that simple, is it? Alicia questions, what do you mean? The Chaz tells her, he just must have found something more enjoyable than Pokemon contests in another region and wanted to spend time on that instead from now on. Alicia questions, what? That's impossible. Take a look at this. She says, opening up a closet, revealing the coordinator outfits, right? No, contest costumes. There we go. For the Pokemon Contest Spectacular. Yeah, you see the female one in Journeys, because that's so long after the fact. But you never see the male one. At least I don't think you do. Alicia says, he even designed matching contest outfits for the trainers. Pikachu Rockstar and Pikachu Popstar. Which... He designed the outfits. I guess that does make sense. He said live Pokemon contests are a performance, so the trainers should dress up as well. And he was looking forward to seeing the contest. Actually, this requires him not to have his hat on. Yeah, okay. See, I know that with the male outfit, it has like these 2 little feathers in the hair, and I was wondering if it was on the same side as Ruby's scars, like maybe somehow serendipitously the games had put it like right where his scars are, but no, you'd still be able to see his scars with the way that is. But Lycia's manhandling the Chaz, saying, how could someone that dedicated to Pokemon contests turn his back on them? It doesn't make any sense. As Chaz says, oh, Lissy, he never said he turned his back on them. But Lissy's phone starts to ring, and as she picks it up, she says, "Uncle, it's me, Lissy. Chaz is being mean to me." While Chaz is barely clinging to the bottom of the panel saying, "Look who's talking." But uncle? Huh. I wonder what I mean by uncle. But meanwhile, back over at the Sky Tower, a Sky Pillar, I guess Zinnia and Ruby have made their way to the top floor, or they were already at the top floor, hard to say. Zinnia points to the sky saying, "A huge meteorite is headed straight for our planet. That's what this is about. It will probably fall somewhere in the vicinity of Cetopolis City." And Cetopolis just can't catch a break. Just one disaster happening there after another. In 10 days. Well, we've been fighting for quite some time. So it must be less than 10 days now. At any rate, this meteor is incredibly huge. If it continues along its current trajectory and collides with our planet, Jabus. Yep, massive explosion. She says, or even merely grazes it, everything will be destroyed. We've known this was coming for ages. 1,000 years ago, our tribe learned of this threat to our planet from beyond the sky, from outer space. That's why for generations our people passed down our lore about how to protect our world from that meteor. And I am the only one who can carry out our defense. Ruby questions, So you are the official lawkeeper? Zinnia smiles, saying, "That's right. And I don't have any time to waste." I mean, you acted like you had time to waste with that little fight. This threat must be dealt with right away, and I don't want people who just became aware of it to use their newfangled science and technology to interfere with our plan. I get where this is going. Because she's so determined in believing that she's the chosen who will stop this. Is she about to do some things to prevent anybody else from actually getting this job done? Ruby questions, "What are you saying?" Zinnia says, "I guess it's pointless to beat around the bush. To put it bluntly, the Devon Corporation, the largest company in the Hoenn region, is my sworn enemy." Ruby takes a moment and then starts chuckling. Zinnia turns, breaking her serious moment, saying, "What's so funny?" Ruby says, "It wasn't blunt, it was melodramatic." "You want to talk?" "Actually." Zinnia says, "Huh?" As Ruby brandishes his mega bracelet, he says, "This mega bracelet was given to me by the son of your enemy." Dude, buddy, why are you coming for that smoke? You're just choosing violence. Zinnia says, "Oh, really? But that means you're on their side." She says with that mischievous grin. Oh, Ruby just smiles a big smile, saying, "I don't know about that." He then gives a bow, saying, "Anyway, thank you for the information." Zinnia shrugs now, saying, "No problem. I've always wanted to thank you myself, if I ever got the chance to meet you in person." Ruby, bewildered, questions, "Thank me? For what?" Zinnia says, "Yes, you. After all, our dragon-type Pokemon managed to escape from that research institute thanks to you finding Salamence." Ruby seems to be a bit shocked by this realization. Zinnia's Whismer then approaches, I guess questioning something? It's hard to say. Oh no, tugging at her little cloak thing. And Zinnia says, "Yes, Aster, I'm coming." She jumps onto her Salamence, saying, "Goodbye. Thanks again for what you did 9 years ago." 9 years, dang. Almost a full decade. Alright, so Steven over on Patreon had given me a readout on the time frame for a lot of these events. The whole Salamence thing took place the same year that the red, blue, and green arc was happening. Jeez, that's wild. The time frame for everything here is so wild. Okay, dang. Which, funny enough, I had been constantly thinking about how old Blue would have been in the X and Y storyline, and he would have been in his late 20s, which is the way he looks in Sun and Moon in the game, which takes like takes place a few months after X and Y. So, yeah, even the manga kind of lines up with the games. Because if you were to tell me that Blue, when he appears in the game in Sun and Moon, I don't think he appears in the manga version. But if he does, he'd look like he's in his late 20s. That's so weird that without knowing it, the manga actually managed to keep its timeline consistent. Weird. Well, regardless, Zinnia flies off on her salamence. Ruby, as he watches, holding the old scar that he had from the beast, thinking to himself. We then cut off the shores of Dewford Town, where we see Mr. Stone using some goggles from the Devon Corporation, no doubt. The Devon Scope, okay. So he's watching Ruby and Sapphire. I'm so used to saying their names back to back. Sapphire and Emerald use their keystones to Mega Evolve Blaziken and Sceptile. Mr. Devon says they have the ability to Mega Evolve. Now we can have them test their ultimate moves in their Mega Evolved form. He was going to contact me when Ruby got back, but we don't have time. He then calls out, Bryony, steer the ship full steam ahead to Dewford Town. Bryony says, finally. Are you going to do it without the boy? Mr. Stone says, We'll just take Sapphire and Emerald, Mega Blaziken and Mega Sceptile. We need those two Pokemon to infuse all the energy they can muster into the Dimensional Shifter. Dimensional Shifter? Dimensional Shifter? Yeah. Should I know what that is? Well, 9 days left until the meteor strikes. Alright, next up is adventure number 5. Gorobus changes color. Okay, so Ruby's still kind of just hanging out at the sky pillar. Okay, I thought he'd be on his way by now. But considering what's supposed to happen, I guess it makes sense. And he's cooking a stew. Interesting. He says to Latios, it's ready. Would you like some of my gourmet berry soup? Latios says, no, I'm good, thanks. He then looks around saying, Em told me you hate camping. Ruby tells him, I still do, but I've gotten used to it. 4 years ago, at the party celebrating our birthdays, mine and Sapphire, I was so happy about becoming the Pokemon contest champion that I got carried away and said I wanted to help Professor Birch and Sapphire with their Pokemon distribution research. And you even see Sapphire blushing up a storm during that dinner. And then Norman just, like, my God, this dude. Is that all we see of Norman here? Actually, do we even get to see the redesigns for most of the gym leaders? Oh yeah, we even get to go back to their emerald outfits. Nice. Man, I love the way this series really keeps up with its continuity. Ruby explains we left right after winning our battle at the Battle Frontier and after participating in the 10 Pokedex holder tournaments at the Battle Dome. We see Ruby talking to Sapphire. Sapphire saying, ain't it about time we got going now that everything's settled here? Ruby says, wait. Sapphire says, pull yourself together. You have to do it, and you've got to keep your promises. Latios says, I see. That's how you've gotten used to sleeping under the stars. Ruby says, but... As we cut to Ruby and Sapphire heading out on top of Wailord, we see our Donphan. And man, it's been a hot minute since I've seen a Donphan. Sapphire calls out, there it is. I wonder what kind of Pokemon lives there. Wait, what island is this? What island did they end up on? Doesn't really say. Actually, it was kind of fun. I traveled to places I'd never been before. Met Pokemon I'd never seen before. You see them seeing a plethora of Pokemon. Oh, is that a Perugly? Wait, what region did they end up in? Yeah, they ended up in the Hoenn region. Well, ain't that something? Yeah, the Hoenn region, yeah, that makes sense. It's the setting for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Yeah, okay, I get you. Hey, now, of course I would know that. That's the region that they come from. Like an idiot, I said that. Wait, then where did they end up? There we go, figured it out. Unova. There we go. Gotcha. Well, then again, it could just be Pokemon from the other regions. Ruby says, Hoenn is so rich in natural beauty, but it could all disappear in 9 days, because that's the night. And then we cut to a flashback of Steven telling Ruby and Emerald, I don't know why them specifically, was Emerald shouting, huge meteor is going to hit our planet and everything will be vaporized? Well, Thank you for keeping it so succinctly. Steven says, hard to believe, but it's true. Only a very few people, including my father, know about it. His company, the Devon Corporation, is already taking measures to prevent it from happening, but someone has been threatening us, trying to force Devon to stop its preparations. I don't know how they found out about our plan. We don't have a minute to waste, and we can't cave in to threat. You might have to battle whoever's responsible. Ruby takes a moment and then says, so, what do you want us to do exactly? Steven says, first, stop the meteor. And second, fight those who are trying to sabotage our plans to stop it. That's all. But it's more than enough. First, I'll need you to hone your skills even more. That's why I prepared this for you. Please do me the honor of accepting it. And he hands over the 2 Mega Evolution bracelets with their keystones. And Ruby immediately puts it on, saying, okay. But Emerald says, what? Are you kidding me? Ruby tells him, I can't refuse a gift. And the stone embedded in this is so mysterious and beautiful. Emerald shouts, not the bracelet? I mean, are you really falling for his wacky story about the planet getting vaporized and willing to cooperate with him? Though, Ruby just puts his hand in front of Emerald's face. I mean, look, with everything that Ruby and even Emerald has been through, it's just like, why wouldn't you believe it? Ruby says, Steven, I'll do as you say under one condition. Steven says, a condition? Ruby says, yes. You called us out here because we're the Hoenn Pokedex holders, right? Sapphire wasn't able to come with us today because she's busy helping with some research. I'm assuming you're planning to tell her the same thing you told us, right? Steven says, yep. Ruby tells him, in that case, I'd like you to hold off on telling Sapphire. He then walks away while saying, just tell her we have a battle to fight against someone who is threatening the Devon Corporation. That's my condition. Steven says, very well. While Emerald says, Ruby? Cut back to present day, where Ruby says to Latios, I was skeptical too when I first heard this story. Zinnia told me the same thing, so it must be true. Cut to Zinnia saying to her whisper, Ruby, I thought he was strong and smart, plus a nice guy. She then remembers his words saying, this mega bracelet was given to me by the son of your enemy. Zinnia tells Whisper, remember? And it mumbles to itself. Zinnia says, how did he get a hold of a mega bracelet? And who polished the keystone and turned it into a piece of jewelry? The Devon Corporation. They must have used some sort of dirty trick again. Oh, and she is really pissy at the Devon Corporation. Was that also in the game? I can't really tell from what I'm looking at. I don't know. I didn't think she had such a issue with the Devon Corporation. But Wismer then calls out to her, and she shyly says, sorry, did I scare you? Right then, this is nothing compared to the destruction of the planet. Don't worry, I'll do what I have to do. I've already warned them. We have to concentrate on the legendary Dragon-type Pokemon now. We have to focus on our mission. We will protect this planet at any cost. I feel like you're endangering the planet by not working with everybody else to kind of get the job done. We then cut back over to Dewford Town, where we see a clash of Mega Blaziken and Mega Sceptile. Steven calls out to Sapphire and Emerald. That's enough. Congratulations, you two. You successfully Mega Evolved your Pokemon for the first time. Emerald looks to Mega Sceptile saying, this is Mega Evolution? Steven says it is. They've gotten hold of a new form and pushed themselves beyond their limits. In other words, this is the evolution of evolution. They are now Mega Blaziken and Mega Sceptile. Blaziken and Sceptile seem to be happy with themselves. Sapphire says, I bet even my dad doesn't know that Sceptile can evolve even further. Well, she says while looking at Blaziken, or maybe she said that looking at Sceptile, and then notices the change in Blaziken as it mega evolves. She freaks out saying, what? Whoa! It turned back into its previous form. Why? Emerald says, my Sceptile too. Steven tells him, Mega Evolution only occurs during battle. Sapphire says, oh. Steven tells them, let's discuss Mega Evolution again. I handed your Blaziken and Sceptile stones a moment ago. They're called Mega Stones. The stone I gave Blaziken is Blazikenite, and the stone I gave to Sceptile is Sceptilite. In order to trigger Mega Evolution, your Pokemon needs to be holding the appropriate stone. But that's not all. The human part of the equation, the trainer, needs a stone as well. In other words, the Pokemon and the trainer each need to be holding onto a stone. The stone held by the trainer is called a keystone. The bracelet I had you wear, with the gem embedded in them, are the it's with the gem embedded in them are called keystones. Okay, it's because it's the way it's broken up. The bracelets I had you wear with the gem embedded in them are keystones. The proper sentence structure, not having the proper sentence structure threw me off. Sapphire says, so this is a key bracelet, and the stone is a Mega Rock? Emerald says, sounds right. Teenagers. Short attention spans. Steven says, but it's not. At any rate, how did you feel when you wore those bracelets for the first time? Sapphire holds her keystone saying, well, it felt like something was sort of coming together inside mine. Emerald says, right. Like all of me was flowing into the stone. Sapphire says, something like that. Steven says, that's one way of putting it. The keystone draws the human life force. And that life force reacts with the Pokemon's Megastone. The catalyst that triggers the reaction is a bond between humans and Pokemon. They both look to their Pokemon. Emerald saying, the bonds between... Steven says, that's right. And that's why wild Pokemon don't Mega Evolve. It only happens to Pokemon who have trainers. Emerald says, maybe that's why they turn back into their original forms after battle. Steven says, probably. What do you think, Ultima? Ultima, watching a type-paired Dragonite, says, what do I think? This is the first time I've seen a real live Mega Evolution, you know? I must say, both Blaziken and Sceptile have fully mastered the use of the special moves. They're able to control their powers perfectly and shoot through such a small target. Steven says, then can we move on to having them use their special moves in their Mega Evolved forms? Ultima says, go ahead. Like, why not? Sapphire looks to her Blaziken saying, wow, this Mega Evolution stuff is amazing. I can't wait to show Dad. Blaziken nods. She then goes over and pets, because he's been so left out, Swampert, poor thing. No Mega Evolution for you. Yet. She says, I bet you can't wait to evolve, huh, Moo? I wonder where Moo's gone off to. I think she means where Ruby's gone off to. Oh well, I can always teach him those Mega Evolution skills later. And Emerald just watches in silence, not sure what to say. Sapphire then goes over saying, Steven. Steven says, huh? Sapphire tells him, now that we've mastered Mega Evolution, will you tell us more about who we're fighting? Steven says, that's a good question. He brings out a weird document. Sapphire tries to read it, saying, well, this is to warn, yeah, you can read it faster. Emerald takes it, saying, this is to warn the Devon Corporation to cease and desist your use of improper technology this instant. To be exact, shut down your what? What is that symbol? Is that an alpha symbol? I really can't tell what that symbol's supposed to be. Or is it the infinity symbol? Your infinity energizer? If you fail to comply, we will use any means necessary to destroy the Devon Corporation. It's signed the Draconid people. Sapphire says, this is a threat. No ifs and ands or buts about it. And most questions, Devon is your dad's company, isn't it? Steven says, that's right. Emerald says, the Draconid people. So whoever sent the notice who we need to fight. Sapphire says, it says people, but are they an organization like Team Aqua and Team Magma? Steven says, your guess is as good as mine. All I know is that the Draconid. I don't know why I keep getting stuck on that word. The Draconid people are associated with Dragon-type Pokemon. There's always someone. And I feel at some point we really need to, really get into the fact that there are these dragon-based tribes in various regions of the Pokemon world. There's a theory that speculates that they're a tribal group who have been coexisting with Dragon-type Pokemon for ages. They're said to be a powerful tribe whose history is shrouded in myth and legend. They've almost always hidden in the shadows, but are no doubt a formidable foe. Sapphire says, we can't rest just because we managed to Mega Evolve our Pokemon, Emerald. We gotta keep on training, he says, slapping him on the back, causing him to cough. A voice calls out from behind her, right, and I'm counting on you, Sapphire and Emerald. She turns, saying, Mr. Stone, as she sees Mr. Stone, Mr. Briney, and Drake. hops over saying, the last time we met was when we helped you castle him. How many years has it been? Mr. Stone says, I'm glad you're well. As Ultima meets Briny, she says, hello, Briny, you're still an old geezer. She sticks out her tongue and Briny does the same, saying, you're still an old bag, Ultima. Stephen shakes Drake's hand, saying, hello, Drake. How are Sydney, Phoebe, and Glacia? He says, fine. They said if you have all this free time to hunt stones, you ought to drop by for a visit. Mr. Stone then says, I know this is short notice, but I'd like you all to board the ship. Stephen says, huh? But Elder Ultima just gave us approval to test the ultimate moves with our Pokemon in their Mega Evolved forms. Ultima, hearing the word elder, gets pissed, but Mr. Stone tells them, I won't say it again. Get on board. Seaford Island is densely populated. Who knows who might be eavesdropping? Mr. Briny says, we found a location where you can train your Pokemon to your heart's content without being observed. Stephen questions, and that place is? They're told, an abandoned ocean facility. It's currently a nature preserve called Sea Mallville. Sea Mallville? Okay, that wasn't there in the original game, was it? I don't think so. Yeah, no. Which is funny because it's very similar to the abandoned ship. Man, it was a second very prominent wreck out in the ocean off of the Hoenn region. Weird, right? This isn't the same thing, is it? Yeah, it's completely different. Weird. Because it looks just, at the very least, it feels like it functions the same way. New Mallville. We then cut to offshore from Lily Cove City, Team Aqua's hideout. Okay. Amber enters saying, again, I've come here again. He says, picking up the old Team Aqua headband. He says, to return the sea to Pokemon. We were all working together. We were comrades with shared values and goals. But Matt and Shelly are missing. I was abandoned by our leader, and I betrayed our team. There's nothing left for me here, even if I rejoin them. Oh, okay. Matt and Shelly are missing. Yeah, Matt was last seen floating in the sea, and Shelly was last seen just running away. Dang. Yeah. But as Amber stands there, he then sees the visages of Matt and Shelly appear before him, waving happily. He says, Matt, Shelly, you're back. You've come back. He then realizes something and says, I'm so happy. Wait, isn't there someone who specializes in creating illusions with fire? He brings out his Gorobus, yeah, and has to use water gun on the illusions. He says, come out. A voice calls out, you're pretty sharp. I'm glad I waited in this damp cave all this time. Sounds like we're in a similar predicament. Searching for my buddies too. You managed to see through my illusion. Maybe we should join forces. And next to him lands, what's his name again? Blaze. Hey, he says, landing beside Amber. Okay. I guess, hey, you have manga original characters. Might as well use them. They're the only members of the team who, actually were still around. Because with Tabitha, with Matt and Shelly, they just kind of disappeared from the story. But with Tabitha and Courtney, they kind of just ended up living happy lives, more or less. So I'm kind of surprised to see Blaze here in this capacity. Alright, and the last chapter of this volume and this video is adventure number 6, Beedrill Prepares. You don't want that. Amber questions, join forces, you say. Blaze tells them, that's right. Amber says, you mean a team comprised of the man who controls fire to create illusions, Team Magma admin, and 3 Fires members, Blaze, and me? I haven't fallen that low, you know. Blaze says, you're stuck up as before. Amber says, reveal yourself or else. Blaze stands up saying, or else what? You'll force me to. Let's see you try. But then Blaze notices that water is surrounding him. He thinks to himself, the puddle left by Gorobis's hydro pump. It's moving. Is Gorobis going to attack? No, it's not preparing to strike. What's happening? The waves are getting larger. It's an attack. But from where? Suddenly, water comes bursting out from behind Blaze and hits him and his slugma hard, knocking them into some rock. Blaze, holding his stomach, says, I see. A single drop of water from Gorobis grows into a stream powerful enough to be fired as hydro pump. This attack makes it hard to figure out where and when it'll be shot from. It's called the Droplet of Terror, isn't it? Droplet of Terror? Is that an actual thing? It doesn't seem to be the case. Okay. Just weird abilities they have. I heard about a dangerous fellow who used this attack, but I didn't know it was you. So this is how you got your nickname, huh? Team Aqua admin and member of the 3 S's, Amber. Amber says, if you try to mess with my head again, I'll... Blaze says, okay. I had no idea you were so violent. Amber says, look who's talking, Team Magma admin. But Blaze waves it off, saying, I never had any intention of fighting you from the start. Amber questions, then what do you want from me? Blaze reaches into his pocket, saying, I meant what I said. I want to join forces. And this is the reason, he says, pulling out a device. Amber questions, what's that? Blaze tells him, a scanner. If you agree to join me, I'll share the data I gathered with you. Amber questions, I have no idea what you're getting at. A scanner for what? Blaze says, red and blue orbs. You know about them, right? Amber is shocked. You mean those objects our leaders use to control the legendary Pokémon? Blaze says, exactly. Amber then questions, that scanner can detect them? Blaze tells him, yep, it's the real deal. I already used it myself to steal the orbs from Mount Pyre. Amber questions, what's the light mean? Are they close? Blaze holds his hand out, saying, hold on, let me explain. Just shut up and listen. 4 years ago. Okay. He explains, Kyogre and Groudon departed, and our leaders were nowhere to be found. The only clue I had was our leaders' orbs. So using the scanner, I headed for the location it pointed to. Oh, and we see Blaze's Swallow. I found the 2 orbs, but that was it. Nah. Actually, it's not exactly true. What I found weren't the orbs, but their fragments. And we see him seeing Giovanni looming over the fragments. Oh, hey, Surd! I remember when you actually were supposed to be this big thing that mattered in the long run of the story, but you kind of just disappeared at some point. Thanks for bringing this up. You see Giovanni take the shard, saying, now that they've fulfilled their purpose, the orbs have shattered and returned to their original stone form. As Blaze watches, he thinks to himself, who's he? Giovanni says, let's go, Surd, Car, Orm, to the Sevi Island. Surd gives a bow, saying, as you wish. Blaze thinks to himself, is that guy stealing them? I won't let him. But Giovanni seems to detect Blaze's presence, which I swear is just a thing people can do. They've been able to do this constantly in this series, and even in the games, people started being able to do this. Oh, Giovanni launches out a Pokeball, bringing out his B-drill. Surd questions, is something wrong, Giovanni? Meanwhile, Blaze is stuck. He thinks to himself, I can't move. My body won't fight him. He's going to get me for sure. Giovanni smirks. As Blaze relaxes, he thinks, he scared me. But why? As Blaze explains, so the orb fragments were taken to another region, to a place called Kanto. In present day, Amber questions, and why did he keep tracking them? Blaze sits down, saying, I'm stubborn that way. I've been blending in with the locals and checking the scanner every day for 4 years. And now the orbs have finally begun to move again, in the direction of Hoenn. Amber questions, you mean someone is bringing the orbs to the Hoenn region? Blaze says yes. Amber questions, but who? Blaze tells him, these are 3 possibilities. First, whoever stole the fragments 4 years ago. Definitely not. Second, someone who stole the fragments from them. Amber gulps hard, saying, and the third? Blaze says, The orbs have been returned to my boss. Or to... Amber says, my boss. Blaze says, exactly. Amber tells him, give me the scanner. Let me see where the fragments are now. Blaze holds it away, saying, nuh-uh. You haven't given me your answer yet. There's no reason for us to join forces if our bosses are coming back. But if it's one of the first two possibilities, whoever it is knows about the power of the orbs, and it's coming here. Are you going to let that happen? Amber takes a moment, and then clenches his fist, saying, okay, let's join forces then, Blaze. Blaze slaps him on the back, saying, that's the answer I was waiting for, Amber. But Amber tells him, but this doesn't mean we're friends. Amber looks to the logo of Team Aqua, thinking, when my boss comes back, they'll rebuild Team Aqua, and I'll be able to work with Matt and Shelly again. Meanwhile, Blythe thinks to himself, he's playing it cool, but he really just wants to find his partners. I can't believe he isn't eager to control Groudon and Kyogre again. No, not just control them. There's a secret method to make them even more powerful, but that will remain my secret for now. As we see the images of Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon. I still do not understand what their primal modes actually mean, but whatever. We then cut over to Hoenn TV at the Slateport City branch office with Gabby and Ty. As she shouts, let's go out and gather more intel, Ty. As Ty follows, he questions, about Ruby, right? Gabby says, of course. Ty questions, what's your concern? Gabby says, everything. Didn't you notice how strange he was acting? Ty says, he always acts strangely. Gabby says, why did he say this would be his last Pokemon contest? Being a Pokemon contest trainer is his identity. It's his whole purpose in life. As she enters the building, she says, if we have a question, we research it. We gather news and information and report it. That's our job, right? First, we'll visit his house in Little Root Town and the Petalburg City gym where his father Norman works. And if we can't find any clues there, we'll go to Professor Birch's research lab. I'll even go all the way to see Wallace, his training master. As she steps out, she and Ty freak out as they see Absol. Ty says, Absol. Gabby questions, are you that Absol? She goes up and pets it, saying, long time no see. But Ty grabs her by the wrist, saying, wait a minute. Gabby? Absol only appears to warn of upcoming disaster, right? Gabby says, right. That's the only time this Pokemon comes down from the mountains. Which means, and she turns to Absol, and Absol kneels down for them to get on top. Ty calls out to Gabby, and Gabby thinks for a moment. She then says, something really bad is about to happen, isn't it? Maybe it's got something to do with the strange way Ruby's been acting. We'll follow you, Absol. Show us what you know. And so, Gabby and Ty board onto Absol and race off. Meanwhile, we cut to Sapphire, Emerald, Steven, Ultima, Drake, probably Mr. Briny and Mr. Stone in a little dinghy heading over to Sea Mallville. Steven then calls out, let's go ashore to Sea Mallville. Drake then says, originally this was an underwater mining facility. It's owned by a company called Greater Mallville Holdings, right, Joseph? Mr. Stone says, that's correct. They were the Devon Corporation's biggest rival. The way he says that. Emerald says it has been decommissioned but maintained as a marine preserve due to its unique habit at supporting Pokemon and vegetation. Like he's reading something. Are you like reading a pamphlet? Oh yeah, he is. I couldn't make it out at first in the panel. Sapphire says, this is the first time I've been here. I wish we had more time. I'd love to investigate this spot for my Pokemon distribution study. Emerald then says, I've never been here before either. I'd like to collect some mud if there is any. Sapphire says, wow, this is so exciting. Though Steven seems to be deep in thought as he asks his dad, what's on our schedule after this? Mr. Stone says, the installation of the absorber. It'll take at least half a day. We have some free time until it's done. Steven says, did you hear that? It's only a short break, but you may do as you wish now. He gives them a wink. Sapphire and Emerald look at each other excitedly, only for Sapphire to bound off the boat, saying, I've got to see this unique Pokemon habitat with my own eyes. Emerald, aren't you coming? She calls out from the water. As they all make their way on board, Sapphire rushes up on all fours. Ultima then calls out, Briny, what's this Absol Barb he's talking about? Oh, Bryony says, "You mean the absorber?" As he heads off on the dinghy, he says, "I'll explain it all to you later. I gotta go back to unload it from the ship and bring it here." He says, using the dinghy to head back over to the SS Title? Not the ship? Probably. It's one of the many friggin' ships they got. There's too many ships. Back on board, Emerald continues to read the pamphlet saying, "The groundworks of the structure have been corroded by long years of exposure to the weather, and half of the facility is submerged in the sea. The mangroves growing in this area are very rare species that can only be seen here and near most deep." Oh, okay. "If you go inside, you can still see remnants of it being a workplace," and meanwhile Sapphire is just battling some tentacle with her blaze again. She then calls out, "Hey Emerald, quit reading your guidebook and get some hands-on experience. Look around and touch stuff." Emerald says, "Okay." He then goes over to a shelf with several Pokemon dolls. Says, "Get a load of all the plush toys. Did this used to be an office? That's weird. These Plusle and Minor plushie toys are awfully clean. The others are all covered in dust and..." But as he rages out, Sapphire hears it and goes racing over, saying, "What happened?" As she sees Emerald knocked out and Plusle and Minor high-fiving. As she looks at the two Pokemon and they look at her, he says, "Oh, you two!" And they hug. See, just like the abandoned ship, complete with a Plusle and Minor. Wait, that's right, the abandoned ship got destroyed, didn't it? Yeah, I kept hoping Ruby and Sapphire would finally get these Plusle and Minor. And they had them for a hot minute, but did they not keep them? Guess not. Yeah, they had them for the training on the island, right? I think that's right. As night falls, we see Ultima just kind of hanging out on top of the ship. As Bryony goes up some stairs towards her, he says, "Trouble falling asleep, Ultima?" Ultima says, "Bryony? Yes, I've had insomnia ever since Steven told me about the meteor and the threat to the Devon Corporation. And on top of that, I saw that thing." Bryony questions, "You mean the absorber?" Ultima says, "I can't believe I've been training those children and Pokemon, that the Pokemon's life forces can be sucked into that diabolical device." Oh, so it's similar to the one from that we just had in X and Y, isn't it? Oh, so maybe Zerosic took some notes from the Devon Corporation. Bryony sits down saying, "The dimensional shifter can't be achieved without it." But Ultima says, "Bryony, what do you think? Is Joseph Stone's plan unethical?" Bryony says, "To be honest, I don't know, but whether it is or not, I don't want this planet to disappear." You then cut over to room 1 where Sapphire and Emerald are just laid out on the most preposterous sleeping conditions. Emerald then gets up, saying, "I can't sleep, might as well take a stroll." He passes by Steven, whispering to his dad, "Please don't tell Sapphire about the impending doom of the planet." Mr. Stone says, "Okay, I'll be careful in what I say tomorrow." Emerald says, "Important grown-up conversation, Everyone seems to be having a hard time lately." And as he heads off to the end of Crane, he says, "Sheesh, could you hurry up and come back, Ruby? 8 days left until the meteor makes landfall as a magic ring appears behind Emerald." Also, just so you know, Emerald was, in fact, taking a whiz in that panel. Just for your information, we gotta stay on top of Emerald's little pee-pee breaks. To be continued. Alright, so Zinnia is interesting because it really does feel like she's barking up the wrong tree on this one. And I'm curious if maybe that was also something she was doing in the games, where she was so hell-bent on being the chosen one or the special who saves the world, believing that she was the one for this prophecy. But obviously she has a good heart, and it's not like she's overly confrontational with Ruby, but oh no, trying to attack the Devon Corporation with this. But then the Devon Corporation does seem to be kind of to no good with what they're creating. That absorber, like, look, I've just gone through a whole story arc where everything involving absorbers were the most horrifying thing ever to exist in this manga. So I don't blame Zinnia for being a bit apprehensive at what they're creating. But Amber and Blaze teaming up, huh? Okay. I'm wondering how the other Matt and Shelley factor into this. Because I know they're not the same characters. It's kind of sad though. Amber just wants that place of belonging because they had such a form of unity and all that. At least he believes so. Although when it came to the other Matt and Shelley, well, mostly Shelley, she just kind of said, hey, so long and thanks for all the fish, and just peaced out. I mean, at least with Tabitha and Courtney, given the way things ended for them, then again, Blaze seem like he was, in a happy place with the, fireworkers and stuff like that, but he wants all that power. He just wants the power. But Tabitha and Courtney just turned out not to be as selfish as Blaze. It's funny. Matt and Shelley were completely selfish, whereas Amber, much nicer of person. Whereas Blaze, terrible person. But, Courtney and Tabitha, they were cool people at the end of the day. They did a lot of things that kind of helped out here and there. Tabitha and that weird relationship I think she has with Flannery, I think it was. And then Courtney had such a good relationship in the end with Ruby. So them going back to Eve, that doesn't really seem right. And I'm kind of interested to see how Archie and Maxie come back into the picture, given how things kind of ended for them. Unless they make Amber and Blaze the main antagonists, which I can't really see happening. The manga loves its original characters, but I couldn't see that. Not to mention, you got new designs, but I don't know if they're going to be able to put in the newer designs for all the gym leaders, or updated designs, I guess you could say. I still don't quite care for Sapphire being left so in the dark about things, and the orbs are returning to Hoenn. Unless maybe Surge finally gonna come back into the story. That would be great. You got me started again with this Surge crap. I was finally over it. We were so far removed from Surge and her involvement in the story. I was finally over the fact that she just kind of went poof. And she might have come back if we had gotten like a proper Diamond and Pearl remake adaptation, but nope, nothing. And that ring, I know who makes those rings. I saw the movie for that Pokemon. It's just, why is this Pokemon appearing here to Emerald? Then again, Emerald just seems to draw legendary Pokemon, so actually mythical Pokemon, I should say. Mythical is a mythical Pokemon. And Emerald drew in Jirachi somehow, so, and then Ruby ended up with a Celebi, so I guess we'll see how that all plays out, because and after that one appears, there's only one other mythical Pokemon for this generation. Interested to see how that factors into the story too. Well, we'll see. Well, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Sorry, my energy kind of teetered out towards the end because it was all just kind of set up. So now I'm just kind of like, But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I still can't get over that Salamence thing. That first chapter in and it just rocked my mind. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you in the next one. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.